Joining me right now is House Financial Services Committee member and former small business owner herself, Congresswoman Claudia Tenney of New York. Congresswoman, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you. It's great to be
so
on.
Where are you on this, Congresswoman? Your reaction to these forthcoming tariffs on Chinese goods?
Well, look, we do have an issue with Chinese theft and Chinese theft of intellectual property. I noticed Wilbur Ross recently said we're not sure where we're going here. We've got to go back to the Congress. I think we have to make sure we're very targeted. We definitely do not want to see the cost of goods and services go up tremendously here. But we also have to recognize that China is cheating, and China is taking advantage of our citizens and advantage of our companies here. I come from an area of New York where we've lost many jobs to Asia and to China. So we'll see what the actual legislation or what Wilbur Ross is presenting to us looks like. That should be the case here. I haven't seen it yet, but he looked tentative yesterday, like the imposition of tariffs may not be a done deal.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the issue of China stealing intellectual property, Congresswoman, because I just wrote an op-ed on this yesterday, and it is in Real Clear Politics. And I'll just show you one line that I wrote. And basically it says, instead of seeking a commitment for arbitrary levels of total imports and exports that will ultimately be determined by the consumer, President Trump should let Xi Jinping know that U.S. companies should not have to have to team up with Chinese companies, and they should be able to operate there without being afraid that their technology is going to be stolen. So what are we doing in that regard? Because at this point, it doesn't matter if China buys $200 billion in agriculture. They're still stealing intellectual property and forcing the transfer of technology from American companies to Chinese companies.
Well, exactly. And they're state-run businesses. So, you don't go over to China and run an independent business. You work with the government. The government controls everything. And I think U.S. businesses eventually will realize they're at a disadvantage there. Yes, they're getting cheap labor. They're getting goods put out at a very low price. But at what price does that cost the American citizens and American companies that are competing, for example, in steel, where the Chinese factory will spend $50 million or $1 billion to create a factory and say, here you go, here's the factory. How do we know that theft isn't happening? Actually, we do know. There's a number of ways that we can go after the Chinese on this, and I think one of the ways the president is looking at it is with tariffs. And I know people don't like it. It sounds scary to say tariffs, but the president isn't a globalist. He's a free trader that's looking for fair and reciprocal trade, as he calls it. And so I think it's a very interesting mix. I think, imposing the tariffs and at least the threat of the tariffs was part of the reason we got North Korea to the negotiating table, because, look, China is a very powerful force, providing 90% of the resources and energy on finance to North Korea. And, using our military force, the pressure that we put on diplomatically, that's what brought North Korea to the table. It's a multifaceted approach that the president used. So I think these are really important factors to look at. And the fact that China might be cheating is something that is really, really, we have to look at and we have to consider. And I think that's what the president's trying to do.
So what do you want to do? What do you want to do with ZTE? Because the White House now says that it will try to kill the bipartisan Senate legislation, which reimposes the penalties on that Chinese telecom company. The company is now seeking a $10.7 billion financing plan. It's nominating 8 new board members, and it seeks to overhaul its management. I know that part of the back and forth between the White House and ZTE includes actually the Commerce Department choosing that board. The president told me that the U.S. got a lot of things by helping ZTE, including being able to choose the board, as well as $1.4 billion. But the Senate is still nervous about helping ZTE.
Well, yeah, it does look like a change in strategy. The president, I think maybe he knows more than we know about it. On the surface, I tend to agree more with the Senate on this. I mean, why are we taking a position where we actually advocate and champion American companies and crack down on cheating and then turn around and give ZTE, a break here? But I think maybe the president knows something we don't know. Maybe it's part of the negotiating piece that he's putting together. But I tend to side with the Senate on this one. I mean, we have got to stop Chinese companies from cheating and taking advantage of us. I mean, we still compete in the world market. I'm a free trader, but I also agree on the other side that the president, is right. We need fair trade. I mean, Americans have been taking the high road while the rest of the world has been taking the low road and taking advantage of our citizens, our jobs, our integrity as citizens and the rule of law. And that's something that is very appealing about the president to my constituents and my businesses, right, many of whom have been moved over to China and Asia and other areas. I mean, we have iconic businesses in my region that are gone. They're being manufacturers are in China now, and that's precisely because we're allowing an unfair trade advantage. And I think that's really what's appealing about the president's pitch. So his ZTE position, we'll see. Maybe there's more in the detail that we don't know about, what the president knows that we don't know, or more that he's trying to strategize on.
And then there's the tax policy. I mean, once the tax bill was passed, there were fears of a mass exodus from the high-tax states, including your own, New York, because of the elimination of the state and local deduction. Can you characterize that? What are you seeing now that we are, 6 months away from the passage of tax legislation?
Well, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act has been phenomenal in my district. I know a lot of the wealthy earners in New York City aren't happy with it. But we're seeing a repatriation of big companies and jobs, Corning, a number of other companies that are near my area, coming back to the United States with jobs. We're seeing the middle and lower income taxpayers really happy. I've traveled I think I've been to 40 or 50 businesses, small, medium, large, pizza stores, manufacturing companies of all sizes and all types throughout my region since the tax cuts. And they're thrilled. I've even been on live TV feed and forgot to ask the owner, how's the tax cuts, how are they working? And they immediately chime in with, wow, it's been amazing. Every single person in our company is getting a raise, is getting a bonus every quarter. It's been phenomenal. We're adding jobs, we're buying equipment. So in a very small way, a small bill like that, just the federal government has come in and helped. And the interesting thing is the Independent Tax Foundation has found that New York is actually going to be one of the top gainers from the tax reform, even though we have a hostile government in New York that's trying to tax our citizens right out of oblivion. We have mass exodus of people and jobs in New York. And so we're actually seeing there is some vibrancy, there's some hope. Just from the smallest level, I was in a little pizza store in upstate New York the other day, and the guy was so thrilled. He said, thank you so much for tax reform. I see families coming in. They're starting to buy, bring their families out to dinner. They're starting to do more. And I think that's just a glimmer of hope for my community. And people are starting to see it. And the reason I know it's working is the Democrats are working overtime, trying to decry that the tax cuts aren't working. They're trying to claim that all these big corporations are now just offshoring, when the opposite is actually true. So they're working when the Democrats are overreacting, and Nancy Pelosi is just melting down on this topic. I mean, it's just spectacular to watch the comments coming from her. Crumbs, a whoop-de-doo, I'm getting a tax cut.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously,
it has
that's
been extraordinary.
the reaction?
The reaction has been incredible.